Hey my fellow addicts, we are wrapping up our Cut golf line today with the Cut DC. Let's dive right in. Guys, as always, if you love unbiased, honest reviews for average golfers when it comes to golf balls, for the last 4 years, we've done a great job of creating a community here who I think we have the best reviews out there. So if you're interested in this, if you like this, please comment, like, subscribe to the channel. It really helps out a lot. That's some free things you can do to really help out. Make sure you're watching the video in its entirety, letting it play in the background. I really appreciate that stuff. You can also join our membership. It's only $1. You can just click the join button next to the subscribe button. That really helps the content out as well. So, we're down to the end here. Our last cut review did not go so well. We did the cut blue. It actually ended up ineligible because of the scrapes on it, but we did test the gray and it actually tested pretty good. And we tested the red and it tested really good. I've heard some things about the red. A couple of you reached out to me and kind of let me know that there's still some cracking issues, but durability kind of seems to be the main issue with cut right now. But now we get into the Cut DC, which this is now going to be their professional tour line essentially. And that's not my words, that's their words. So originally 4 years ago when I tested this, I really was thinking that this was just the, 4-piece, more like dual core, more faster. I knew it was for faster swing speeds, but I didn't necessarily ever think of it being like for tour players. But when you go to Cut's website, they clearly say, tour players, elite players, people who are in a league of their own. That to me means like you're basically a scratch golfer. Even 3, 4, 5 handicaps, like it to me, when you're talking about league of their own, professional tour, wannabe tour, like you're talking about guys who are at least scratch golfers. So that means that most likely it's probably not for us if that's true. So we'll have to keep that in mind while testing it. It does come at a price point of $29.99 for a dozen, which is a really competitive price point. That's the same as a lot of other golf balls that we've been testing in this range lately. It's a great price point, it really is. Legato's there, Wright & Ditson's there. It's a great price point for a 3-piece or a 4-piece urethane golf ball, especially if they perform really well. If they can keep up on the performance, then you can't beat it. Especially when you can go down to your local Walmart or, a grocery store and get it. It adds to the accessibility a lot. All right, so let's get into the design of the Cut DC. DC, of course, stands for dual core. It's a dual core golf ball, supposed to have a little bit more pop off the club. We'll definitely see about that too. This is the same logo that we've been doing now for the gray and for the blue. It's got that beautiful Cut logo, which we know now we love. It's really simplistic, but it's awesome for a direct-to-consumer brand. And it's got the red number down there. I wish they would kind of make it a different color for the DC or something, but it is what it is. It's a great logo. It's a great design. This one actually does not feel super premium by any means, but it's definitely in that mid-range. It definitely, for $29.99, this looks like what I'm getting what I'm paying for, but it's a urethane coating. It looks really good. If you flip it around on the side here, this is the Cut DC, and this is that same type of alignment tool we've been seeing and that we like, but there's a slight change. This one's actually a lot thicker. So the other ones that I actually enjoyed also were a lot skinnier, but as you can see, that's really thick. They thickened it up on this one, so I like putting with it. It's really easy to see. It's simplistic, and it helps me align my putts. So as always, Cut, really great design, but that's not really been the issue with Cut golf balls so far. The design is really well. The price point's always really well. Let's get out to the chipping and putting green. Let's see how it does around there. All right, so Cut DC now. Again, I expect this golf ball, when I tested the older version of this, it spun like crazy. I expect this one to do the same. Okay, so I did hit that one slightly, and it was almost rockish feeling. Like it definitely is firmer. It definitely let me know. Let's try again. Okay, a little bit of a hit again. I mean, a lot of spin on that. Holy cow, a lot of spin. One more time here. Okay, good pure hit, really good in the hole. Okay, now that's picture perfect right there. Crisp sounding, it's definitely firm. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's a lot firmer than the other two for sure. It's a lot firmer than I remember it being, but that last one is literally picture perfect, sounded great. You saw the reaction, it had some spin on it, which was nice, and ultimately it ended up going in the hole, which is incredible. That's nice, but again, the first thing I think of when I see a shot like that is I think advanced player, because I hit the first two. I did not get good results. One went way short, one went way left. I'm not the best player in the world, but then I finally hit one perfect and it did great, and so that makes me think advanced player. So I'm going to try to spin this one left. I don't think there'll be an issue. I mishit it. I'm so sorry about that, guys. The mishits are so bad. There we go. No, I didn't get a spin left. Let me try. I've tried a couple times to get a spin left here. I'm going to go ahead and hopefully cut those other ones out. I got a cat in my way now. I apologize. A little bit of left spin, but not a ton. Really, the back spin's where it's relevant here. I am going to try to hit a nasty cut now just to see. It took so many times to get the one right. Oh, that's pretty good. Pretty good. You know, I would say it's definitely toward like the 75% on the meter. It's not like the Bridgestones I tested. It's not like, you know, some of these other golf balls that spin a ton, you know, like the Wilson, stuff like that. It just isn't the case, but it's still really good. It has a lot of checkup. That's really good right there. That was a low spinner. Love that. Oh yeah, like that one shot right. So I mean, it does have a good, healthy amount of spin, but it does have to be hit really well in order to get it. All right, so the Cut DC now, I expect this, you know, this is supposed to be their more tour premium ball. It's supposed to go head to head with all the big boys. So I'm gonna judge this one a little more harshly. One thing I already like about it is it has a lot thicker of a line. I probably talked about this in the intro, but the line's a lot thicker for sure. So let's see what we're working with here. We got the big, thick mallet putter. Yeah, I mean, that's how I would expect a golf ball to feel around the green, especially one that was trying to be a tour ball. It was really soft, buttery, crisp. I mean, all those good words that we love that are related to food. I'm gonna go ahead and validate the parking here. A little bit of a wobble on that one on the roll, but still not too bad. Again, I love the feel. I love how it went. There's good distance control there. I feel a little bit more confident. This is probably my second favorite so far behind the Cut Red. But this is definitely more like what I was thinking. I pulled it a little. That's okay. Still pretty good though. I mean, still a pretty consistent roll. Almost no sound on this one. It's so weird. The cut balls just go like this. Like you test one and it's really loud and there's no feel. And then you test the next one and it's, you know, it feels incredible, but like there's no sound. And it's just weird how it fluctuates from ball to ball. This one's the opposite of the one we just did. It almost has no sound. I mean, there's almost no sound when you hit it. It's just, you kind of feel a little bit in your hands and that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and grab the blade. All right, so I got the blade putter now, old trusty. Return to glory, whatever you wanna call it. Let's see how we're doing here. Yeah, really nice. Again, a perfect balance of sound and feel. It just has this little tiny crispy, you know, sound that comes off of it, you know, that lets you know feedback. And same thing with the feel, buttery. It really jumps off the club nice. You know, if I had to, I'll give you my rankings here in a second now that we've done all 4 cut balls, but let me go ahead and validate it here. Yeah, never hit the breaking point, but again, I mean, really consistent, really good. I enjoy this. I enjoy the thicker line. Okay, yeah, no, for sure. So Cut Red is definitely my favorite. You know, let's just, for basic purposes, say 10 out of 10 Cut Red. You know, this one's a 9 out of 10. Cut DC, love that one. You know, 8 out of 10 Cut Blue, 6 out of 10 Cut Gray. You know, that's my rankings, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order. The Cut DC might not have had the consistency or maybe the personal sound and feel I liked out of it. So there might be people that switch. You might play both and say, no, I like this one better. It's a personal preference thing, but I am glad the DC ended up being so crispy and so buttery and so smooth, because if you're gonna go up against Pro V1, you're gonna go up against Chrome Soft, you're gonna, you know, put on your website things like, hey, you know, same, you know, performance, less money. That's how I would expect it to feel. So it definitely checks that box. I'm glad it did so. So now we'll just see how the performance numbers are. All right, so if I had to describe the feel across all golf clubs with this ball, you know, we've slowly gone, you know, we had the Cut Red, which just felt 5 out of 5. And then we had the Gray, which was, you know, 4 out of 5. And then we had the Blue, which was close, but still 4 out of 5, but a little less than the Gray. We're going down a path of it's getting firmer and it's getting firmer, and now, you know, they say that this is for 100-mile-an-hour swingers or faster. I'm at like 97, 98 now with my driver, close to 100. A couple of reviews I've hit 100. I would challenge that. I think it's firm enough to where 105, 110 is going to be really where you're at. 110 is probably the sweet spot, but I think 105 is the starting point. It's very firm. It's it feels okay. You know, I mean, if you hit it pure, it does kind of have a lightness to it, and it does seem to jump off the club really fast. That's probably that dual core. You can tell there's a different type of release when it hits that golf club just right. Anything outside of that, anything outside of a pure strike, kind of icky. You know, I mean, it's definitely firm. And again, I'm not fast enough to compress it, so that's where that comes into play. That's why I said 105, 110. It just doesn't want to seem to compress at all. And then, you know, as you go through the clubs, you know, the sand wedge on my 50-yard pitches, loud, clicky, really firm, really a lot of feedback in the hands. Then the 9-iron, a lot of feedback in the hands, loud, clicky, and then you get to the 7 and kind of medium clicky and a medium feel. But then you get into the 5 hybrid and the driver, and it starts to really feel and sound a lot better because at that point it's being compressed. At the other side, it just has this really loud, and that's common with 4-piece golf balls that are firmer. I see it all the time with most X models golf balls. But once you get into those 2 longer clubs, yeah, it's not bad. It's pretty decent. But other than that, it's just not for me. It's too loud. It's too clicky. I'm not compressing it. You can clearly tell. The golf ball's almost screaming at you saying, hey, you're playing the wrong ball. And I'm like, I get that. I get that. So with that being said, that also did take a hit on the forgiveness as well, as you saw from the score there. Just not a lot of great forgiveness, and we'll touch more on that when we get to dispersion in a little bit. Let's go ahead and get to a 50-yard pitch. So we're starting with the backspin RPM. We're looking at 6,806, which is the lowest out of the cut line I've tested so far. So that's really disappointing, just because, and again, it doesn't surprise me because that seems to happen on X model golf balls. When you're not, you know, when a golf ball's a lot softer and it doesn't take as much to get it really fully compressed, a golf ball that's fully compressed will spin more. And so what happens is you get a really firmer golf ball. You're taking a really thin, you know, bladed type wedge. You're only coming back about halfway. You're just not compressing it enough to really grip and get a lot of spin. And so that's common. The common misconception that a lot of people will tell me is that, oh, well, you know, the more layers you have and the more this, the more spin it has. If your swing speed corresponds to it, yes. But a slow swinger, 70 mile an hour with a driver, you know, a senior, super senior, something like that, they're going to get even less with this golf ball when it comes to spin. They might be looking at 5,000 or 5,500 because they're just not actually getting enough on it. It makes a difference. Getting into the 9-iron, we're looking at 132 on, or 1.32 on your smash factor, excuse me. 141.3 on your 9-iron carry. That's really good. It's right in line with pretty much what I've gotten with all of them so far. 142, 106.1, 64, 66 on your RPM spin, which again, that is the lowest out of the cut line I've tested so far. And it launched the lowest now at 21.8. It launched about mid compared to my average, but compared to the other cut balls, it launched low. So that's kind of interesting there. I mean, the thing with the distance is that it's very consistent. Cut is very consistent across all their golf balls. Sometimes it's getting to the point where it's hard to differentiate between them because, you know, all 4 models are within 2 yards of each other when it came to the 9-iron. I mean, that's really, you know, most of the time that's not the case. We just tested the Bridgestone lineup. The disparity between that was 9 yards. Our worst Bridgestone was not, you know, Tourline was 9 yards less and further apart than each other. The cut, on the other hand, everything is right there at 2. I mean, it's almost like you could pick any of them up and use a 9-iron. My only disappointment is because this one in particular is so firm that I'm just not spinning it a lot, and so it's actually getting the least amount of spin of any of them. So if you're a really fast swinger, you might get a little more out of that. I remember, you know, when I tested it 4 years ago, I had a problem with a lot of spin. I mean, it was just spinning like crazy. It had so much bass effect. So I think it does grip the green really well, but as far as the actual spin RPM, you know, that goes to show you why the golf ball you play is really important. All right, 7-iron smash factor, 1.43, which is awesome, same as the blue, 168.9, 170.3, 119.7, 57.48 on your spin, and 16.8 on your launch, which is like a low mid. So those numbers are really good across the board. They're consistent. It's actually the best numbers I've seen so far. Just at being really what I need, really consistent. The spin is right there, right where I need it. It's above average. It's like the second highest on the cut line so far. Ball speed didn't break a record, but boy, it came really close. It was 0.3 away from the blue. The blue's what broke the record last time. So really great ball speed, jumps off the club. Forgiveness, so-so, but overall, the numbers ended up really good and consistent, and so I don't mind that. There is some dispersion issues still, but we'll talk about that at the end. let's keep it going. Those are good numbers. 5 hybrid, we're looking at a smash factor of 1.42. Then we're looking at 186.4, which, yeah, now we get into some serious dispersion issues. 191.4, 126.1 on your ball speed, 41.88, really low spin compared to, actually it's the lowest spin I've gotten so far out of any of them. And at 15.2, now it launches mid-high. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so this is where we're kind of starting to run into an issue here. So, all right, so a minute ago we talked about how Cut claimed this was for professionals, about how they claimed, scratch players, tour players, players in a league of their own, their words, not mine. That's where this actually is proving to be true. There's a lot of dispersion with how these golf balls are being hit. And I saw it with the 9-iron, I saw it with the 7-iron. This is where I've seen it the worst, this and the driver. But essentially what's happened is that there's so much side spin on the golf ball that if you have the face a little too closed or you have it a little too open, bye-bye golf ball. I mean, it's insane. Like, I'm naturally a draw player, and I'm seeing a really wide draw, even on my normal draws. And even at times where I'm like, oh yeah, that was a little fade, it's in the woods. And I'm not a slice player. It's just there's a lot of bendability. Now, for a tour player, if you're watching this and you're someone who swings really fast and you're like, oh, I can bend it, baby. I bend it like Beckham. You know, Bubba's shot at the Masters has nothing on, what I have. I can bend a pitching wedge. Then maybe this is for you. But again, a lot of us, 99% of us, are looking for a forgiving golf ball to where if we close the face a little too much, I still don't want it to side spin a lot. Not the case here. You're going to get parallel, slices, hooks. It's got a lot of side spin to it. Even though it doesn't have a lot of backspin, it spins, it bends, it does what it's supposed to do. The other issue you run into is that on miss hits, it's really unpredictable. Not only do miss hits really take away a lot of the distance, they feel bad in your hands, and also accuracy-wise, good luck. You know what I mean? There's so many things when you hit this golf ball that it has to all line up. It has to line up perfectly. If it's not a perfect swing, if it's not a perfect strike, then you're not going to get out of it. Now, don't get me wrong. If you do hit perfect, the golf ball's incredible. It does a lot of amazing things, but it's kind of like if I go buy a Ferrari and then all I do is drive at 30 mile an hour through the school zones, or 20 mile an hour through the school zones because I'm just on streets, it's not really doing me a lot of good. You know what I mean? Now, if I put that same Ferrari in the hands of a race car driver and he's, whipping up and, Formula F1 and going through streets and he's able to drive it great, that's awesome. But the car's the same. It's just on who has it. It's whose hands it's in. In my hands, I'm going to try to pull up a picture of the dispersion just to show you, but that's essentially what happened. It's too unpredictable unless you're a really good golfer. And right now, where my golf game's at, I'm just not in a position that I can play an elite level golf ball, and it kind of showed with that. Okay, real quick, we'll get into the driver, last but not least. Smash factor of 1.48. 233.4, really good numbers there. Not quite as good as the blue, but still really good. 142.8, 147.4, 2637 on your spin. So again, right in line with everything for spin. 12.8, it really wanted to launch low for some reason. I don't know why, but it did. Every time out with the driver, there was multiple times I was really trying to get up underneath it. I'd tee it a lot higher, and I'd really try, and it wanted to launch low. And a lot of tour balls do. That's pretty common. So it still had really phenomenal numbers as far as your distance, as far as, the rollout it got. Spin was fine. I just wish, for a player like me, the launch had been a little higher. But again, this ball ain't for me. All right, real quick, we'll touch on the durability before we get into my final thoughts. So the blue was really egregious. This one, it's got some scuffs. It's got some scratches. They're very minor. But here's the thing. This golf ball got put through like 115 shots because essentially what happened was I kind of goofed and forgot to switch 5 hybrid to driver. So when I started hitting my driver, I hit like 20 shots with the driver and then looked down and went, wait a minute, 45 shots with the 5 hybrid. And I'm like, that can't be right. Oh, I forgot to switch it. So then I had to go back, switch it to driver, and then redo the entire driver. So it got an extra 20, 25 shots. It's like at 100. So I would call it a 9 out of 10. It's really good durability. people who are playing this golf ball are only going to be shooting 70 to 75. That's what they should be playing. That's what they should be shooting if they're playing this golf ball. So I would say that's going to last you no problem. You might even be able to get close to 2 rounds out of it if you do it that way, if you're that good enough. Otherwise, a round and a half. So now the cut gray, the cut red, and the cut DC all have really good durability scores. Red's still kind of up in the air. We're looking into that. But the blue was a 1 out of 10. It's so weird about that blue cover, you know, especially since the DC is just, like, it's really good. So, I mean, they almost need to take this cover and put it on the blue. Anyway. All right, so final thoughts. I'm at a crossroads here. I'm at a fork in the road. It's really tough. I'm between a rock and a hard place because am I disappointed? I am. I am disappointed. I was really hoping this cut lineup would have something that really stuck it and said, hey, don't forget about us. Hey, Vice, don't forget about us. We're right here. You know, hey, Encore, don't forget about us. We're still right here. And I just almost feel like these are the exact same golf balls I tested 4 years ago, and they are. They are. They haven't changed their model. They're the same. And as we know, the other companies over the years have come out with new golf balls and new technology, and I feel like 4 years ago, here's all the competition, and here's cut, and now the other competition slowly 4 years, you know, year 2, year 3, year 4, okay, now everybody's up here, and cut just kind of got left in the dust, because now, you know, Encore had the Vero X2, phenomenal, almost a top 10 golf ball, phenomenal. Vice came out with their new lineup this year and just blew me the heck away. There's Amazon brands like Legato, Wright and Ditson came out of nowhere. One of my favorites. I still have tons of Wright and Ditsons right here. I love them. There's just so much competition now, and it's just cut needs it needs a fresher. It needs a redesign. Maybe not a redesign as far as the outside of the golf ball, but it needs, you know, the Cut Blue's got to fix their cover, because right now the Cut Blue is the best golf ball they offer, but you can't play it, and so it's ineligible. And then the Cut Red is the second best golf ball, I think, and it's amazing. I love the Cut Red, but I'm still hearing about issues of them cracking, and it just, I guess it feels like with Cut, there's always a but. You know, like the Cut Red's amazing, but, you know, the Cut Blue's amazing, but, you know, there's always a but afterwards, and it's just, Cut has some foundation pieces here. There's a lot to build on. Nothing's terrible other than the Blue's durability, but it just really doesn't, it just isn't as good as I was really hoping it was. I was hoping Cut would really come out here and put something that would maybe be in our top 10 or be in our top 20. I don't know if that's the case. I'm looking at the numbers now and seeing how they are. I just don't know if that's the case. As far as the Cut DC goes, look, if you are a really amazing golfer and you are a scratch player and you swing 105, 110 mile an hour, yes, this is amazing value, and it probably could do really well for you, but you need to be an amazing golfer. And if you're not that, you need to be honest with yourself, even if you do like this golf ball, and understand that there's probably models out there, that are going to give you more forgiveness. They're going to be a little more consistent. They're going to be a little more straighter, and you're probably going to lower your score. Most people who are scratch golfers, I imagine, are going to be playing Pro V1, Chrome Soft, and if you're able to pay that price, good for you, I guess. If you're not able to pay that price, though, something like this definitely is worth a shot, because you can't beat it. It's half the price. It's an amazing savings. So especially if you end up liking it and buying it in bulk, you really can't beat $25 to $30 a dozen for a dual core four-piece, urethane golf ball. There's just nothing else out there like it. But again, there's always a but. So if you're anywhere other than that, check out some of the other Cut reviews, guys. The top 100 comes out in a couple months as well, so you can kind of wait on that. But as always, keep watching, keep saving, keep learning. Until next time.